Hey everybody, it's your friend ECW Fan, and this is the latest comic book finds volume. But before I go over to these books, there is a cool thing I picked up at the mall that I'll show first, and I'm pretty psyched to get it, because I saw it there a couple weeks before I picked it up, and I was like, I hope they still got it. I want to get that. I got this at FYE. It's the pop of Batman and Aquaman from Justice League. This is probably the only highlight from that damn movie. Those two guys were the only highlight of that movie, I think. That pairing where they would just work together, and you can see Batman's wearing his special goggles where he drove the Batmobile, and Aquaman's got his trident. I was really cool to get this, and I was sitting there, I was like, man, I like this. I gotta get it. It was marked down to $10 for these two pops, pretty much. I was psyched, so getting these two. Don't like the movie that much, beyond Batman, and it's kind of cool to get a Affleck pop of Batman, so that'll do me for now. I really shouldn't get more pops, like I told Eddie, because I don't have the room for them. I wish I did. I would stack them up on my shelves and just have them lined up, and it'd be kind of cool to have them like that. But I just don't have the room for them. There's just not enough room for these pops. So I'm gonna have to watch what I buy with them until I get more room. But let's move on to the comics. And at Roberts, I bought, I think, about 10 issues. They bought 4 magazines and 6 comics. Now, the 4 magazines I bought are classics. If you're a comic book fan, you kind of remember this magazine. It was called the Comics Journal. I have a few of these. I have a few of the Comics Journal, and this is going to be my earliest one. This is number 49, with a Shade the Changing Man cover from Steve Ditko. It was a product of its time, and it's still around, but, the Comics Journal is not like it once was. I think, because magazines are pretty much dying right now. The printing costs, the price of to buy a new one, and I think the Comics Journal is running like $12 or $15 an issue now, and they do it 2 or 3 times a year, and the print size I think is about that big now. And it's hard to compete with the internet. It's hard to compete with the internet with what they're doing, and but I kind of like this. I like this one because it has a thing about the X-Men, and I can't show the back of it off because there's something really wrong I shouldn't show on the back of this Comics Journal, and I'm not going to do it. Another Comics Journal I picked up was number 71, or no, 74, I believe. This is number 74. It's got a Magneto and X-Men cover. This is a nice one. And Fantagraphics Books did this. This is a nice. The only bad thing about this book is the end part. Everything else about it, the cover and front cover, works good. It's just the bottom part right here is a little rough. Has a little, bend in the, how paper bends, but that's kind of cool. I can't wait to read that interview with Chris Claremont and Louise, I think that's Louise Jones on the New Mutants. I can't wait to read that. We skip ahead to Comics Journal number 82, and this one will have a interview with Dave and Denny Sim. This is, I believe this was Dave Sim's wife at the time. She's in this interview, I believe. Cerebus. If you're not a big fan of Cerebus, he was the Barbarian Aardvark. I can't wait to get those phone books. Robert is going to actually start selling me a few of the phone books, he said, because he don't want them. He said, I'll sell them to you, and he said he's got a lot of them, I think, from what he said. So I'll pick them up, and because I want to read all the tales of Cerebus, and I only got the issues that the parodies of the Rolling Stones, Archie Goodwin. Those are the only ones I have. And I got the Comics Journal number 120. This is about Walt Disney and Floyd Gottfredson from 19. It shows him from 1963. This one is probably coming to you in the early 90s by this point, or late 80s. Let's check. Oh, late 80s, March 1988 for this Comics Journal. And that's the last one I got. I only got 4 of them. Just 4 Comics Journals. So he had 2 other ones there, but I didn't pick them up. Now, moving on, I picked up about 6 comics here. And I was kind of happy with what I picked up, because I needed something to fill in some holes and some issues I needed. And what I just picked up, he just threw in because I saw the cover and I wanted it. It was Marvel Age number 58 with the Fall of the Mutants. And I picked it up because I like that, I like this cover with the X-Men all around. And this is that month I think they did that, Marvel did, with all the characters around the border. So I went ahead and picked it up for that reason. I don't think it's worth really much of anything. It's just nice to have. Plus it talks about Fall of the Mutants. Now here's one I picked up, and I was happy to get because this fills in a issue run I need, and it's Animal Man number 5. I'm working on getting the whole 26 issues of Grant Morrison's run of Animal Man. I just need a couple more issues and I'll have it done. This one had great art, great story. It was a really unique thing that they tried to do in this comic. And I always like 26. 26 remains my favorite issue of all time. One of my favorites. With how Grant Morrison appears in that issue. And details what he's about to Buddy Baker. I'm not going to really reveal what the issue goes into. You need to pick it up if you haven't read it. Moving on, I picked up a fairly new comic, and Robert knocked this down to half price. And it's actually one of the variants of Action Comics 1000. And I've got 3 of the variants. I've got the 70s, 80s, and I think I've got the 1940s. I think this is the 1940s one. Yeah, 1940s variant cover. So, it's kind of cool to get that. Maybe over time I'll get the other variants. I'll hunt them down for next to nothing cheap. So, well, these next 2 issues are ones I needed, and it was back in the early 2010s. We was in a shop, and I picked up the first 15 issues of Warlock. I had it was the 1970 series. It's way before Thanos became a big deal, and I got the issues for nothing really. They just said, "Hey, just fill a long box," and I did it. And I got the first 15 issues. So I traded my issues to Chris. Chris wanted them, and I pretty much let it go for a good while until I found these in the shop. I was like, Robert had them, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get these. So I picked up issues 13 and 14 of Warlock. This only brings me needing 11 and 12, and I'll have the whole 15 issue run again of that series. Another one I picked up, and this one was a pretty nice Akita kit because I saw that one in there, and it features an early appearance of Thanos. It's actually Captain Marvel 28. And this is a nice early appearance by Thanos. Robert just stole it to me for next to nothing. He always does. He cuts day team deals, so he said, "Go ahead and get that one." And Eddie's got the whole run of this, where from I think 25 or 26 up to 33. So I have to work on getting all that run. I've got a couple of the issues, but I don't have nothing like that. I have to work on getting.